right, this is the Committee on Legislative Affairs and Elections. This is Thursday, February 2nd, 2017. We're at 6 p.m. Councilor Heelan. Councilor Napolitano. Councilor McLaughlin.
Here.
We have 3 members present. We do have a quorum.
Please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, will please read the first item on the
All right, the
agenda.
first piece of business, this is a ordinance offered by Councilor Heelan. An ordinance regulating the licensure of taxi cabs in the city of Everett.
Okay, is this the first time before us? Yes. Okay. Whereas this is the first time before us, I mean, there's lots of good stuff in this. Has everybody read this through? I'd rather hold it over so you can really read it. It's a lot of work on here. I mean, I'm looking very favorably on it, but I want it to be read so that we will understand exactly what we're doing. If you get any beefs on it or anything, to bring it back to the next meeting, but I like it and everything, so, okay? All right. Table, we stay in committee. Huh? Just stay there. You want to refer it up? No. Oh, yeah, okay. Motion made and second to leave the subject matter in the committee. All in favor? All opposed? So moved. Item number
Item number 2 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Heelan establishing livery licensing in the city of Everett.
This is something that we really have to take a good look at, and it's well-written and everything, but again, it's the same thing. It's rather long, and rather than go over the whole thing tonight and not really know what we're talking about, I would request that we
I'll
lay it in the
make a
committee.
motion. Make a motion
Yeah, in the
to
committee,
table this
and,
for 1 month.
But before we do, I would like to know if we could have our clerk come up and ask maybe just to reassure that we're going in the right area, you know?
Yeah, on both pieces,
By yourself, sir.
some things that,
need to
Mike
identify
Matarazzo, City
yourself,
Clerk. On both pieces, I mean, on the taxi, for instance, are we going to, we have 18 licenses. Should it be required that if you have 18 licenses, 18 cabs are on the street? Do we want to go by a population base, and that would open up a few more licenses? The way the taxi industry is going, who knows how popular that would be. We were getting calls forever, and now the calls aren't coming as frequently. Livery, do we want to include Uber and Lyft in the livery license? Can we include Uber and Lyft in the livery license? There's a minimum there of $35 for any livery. Obviously, if they're doing a cab, they're not going to charge $35 for the ride. So there's a lot of little things. When these were proposed, there's a lot of things since we've proposed these. The landscape has changed all of a sudden, and taxi's not all that, I don't know about profitable, but so it's not like it was. So there's so many questions that have come up since these were written that, yeah, I think you're going in the right direction, Mr. Chairman. I think that having everybody really go through them, find the little things that they think are.
Mr. Clerk, if I can ask you,
Mhm.
because I don't know, is there anything at all that regulates Uber drivers? Any state law or any?
No.
Nothing.
No, they were going to pass something, right? Yeah, they passed something, I think some kind of a background check or something like that,
Yeah.
but it had to do a background, but the company said they were doing those anyhow, but, and again, with the casino coming, there's gonna be, especially on the livery end, livery isn't just packages, it's when you get a call, I think it's 8 hours, at least 8 hours ahead of time, to take a family of 4 or a group, say, from the casino to the airport.
Yeah.
That's livery. And we get requests to sign a letter for people who have a livery business in Everett to allow them to go to Logan Airport. I don't know who they are. You remember those letters, and you give them the letter, and you're like, oh, this is a good guy. So I'd rather have us licensing them so we know who they are, require a background. We require a background check on our cab drivers.
Yeah.
I think we should on them too. As long as you're carrying, passengers, we should know who you are. Right now, all they get is a business certificate in Everett. That's it.
But nothing in here regarding Uber?
nothing at all, and I don't know what we're allowed to include either.
Well, you know, maybe when we do these two things, that'll be another thing that we can attack, you know?
Yeah.
Not attack, to try to square away.
Yeah, and it's trying to get it ready for the casino, so it's not like this is something that we need tomorrow morning.
Councilman McLaughlin.
Just as a suggestion, maybe we ask somebody from the state legislature to come to talk to us about the law that they passed in 2015 on Uber and Lyft, so that we understand what the state law is versus how we can implement it in the local level.
Who passed it?
The Senate has passed a law in 2015, which is talking about a lot of the background, more so on Cory checks and
Yeah.
background versus a real tight ordinance. Unfortunately, it failed. But maybe they can come in and give us some tidbits of information on where that went so that we can kind of implement it into a local level.
Okay, so maybe we can get a copy of that from one of our senators of the rep, you know, okay. And if you want, if I'll ask him? Okay, I'll let Peter.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to suggest. Before we ask state legislature, they've got a full doc on their own plate. Before we bring them up here to ask them questions that we can read, we should get a copy of what they passed first. Let's take a look at it, let's review it,
Yeah,
and then have them come up to answer any questions if the material raises questions. But if it doesn't raise questions and it's clear enough that we can identify what it is they're looking to do and whether it's something we can incorporate, I really don't think we need to bring them up here unnecessarily. Only if we need additional information, I would think.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, regarding Uber and Lyft, if the city solicitor has any cases that were, I know other parts of the country have tried to do things, and they've met some, I know there are some court cases regarding it, I don't know about Massachusetts, but I know elsewhere there have been. There's been cases about, regulating Uber and Lyft on the local level.
Councilman McLaughlin.
The only reason I had suggested that only was because there's 2 senators out of 40 that actually voted not to accept the law that they put into place because they didn't feel it went far enough. And one of the 2 senators was Senator DiDomenico. The other was Don Hemison from the western part of the state. They actually voted not to put the law into place because they didn't think it went far enough. So I just wanted to maybe hear his version of what is on the books versus what he wanted to see on the books and why he voted outside of the realm of his colleagues in the Senate, and maybe be able to understand comparison of the 2 that he had hoped to see and what actually got implemented, so that maybe be able to help us. But I would agree with my colleague that we should do some of our own research before taking that step.
Okay. If I can ask
And
a
if I-
question of anybody, Michael probably, how do you get a ride from an Uber person?
You do it over the phone, there's an app on your phone, and,
Not on my phone, but.
right, there isn't on mine either.
Yeah.
I answer my phone, I do text, but that's it.
I
I'll
mean,
take,
how would you do that? There must be a main number?
yes.
Anybody?
No, there's no number.
Counselor?
And
Now, they log on a website, and then they register their appointment, when they want to be picked up, where,
We're on the.
and then they get confirmation, and then the transaction occurs
It's all done over the,
over the internet.
yeah.
Did you submit your credit card for payment? That's how it's paid. Your credit card goes on file. So your credit card is assigned to you. So every time that you call, I actually have it on my iPhone. I can hit my Uber app and punch in where I want to go, and they'll say in 10 minutes a black Jeep is going to come pick you up, and they'll send you a picture of the individual as well, so that you know who's picking you up and what type of vehicle they're picking you up in.
But you pay by credit card?
It's all paid for by credit card. There's no cash exchange
cash.
whatsoever.
No
No.
cash?
No geesh.
Peter?
One other thing, too, is, has the city solicitor had a chance to review these?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
she
was
got a-
my main
I'm
thing.
sorry, she got a note saying that.
Because so far, we've held both, we've motioned to hold both of these in committee. She has a report on that? Okay, good, because that's where we'd want to get some feedback from the city solicitor.
She got no problem with the tax and delivery, but next time we meet, we can have her come in here too.
I think that's a good idea.
In her letter, she does say she's, and we can explain it later for the 20-mile-an-hour limit. So, on the motion then, we all set to lay it on, refer it into the committee? All in favor?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
stays in committee, okay. Number 3, please.
All right. Item number 3, this is order sought by Council Anthony DePiero regarding speed limits in the city of Everett.
Chairman,
The, if I may, do you have it? Oh, wait, you want to read it then? Go ahead. Okay, I just want to get into the record. This is from our city solicitor, And regarding the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, she says, however, the proposed ordinance of setting speed limits should be reserved for the Traffic Commission. Revised ordinance of the City of Everett provides fully empowered Traffic Commission. If the Traffic Commission elects to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 17C and 18B, it can establish speed limits in accordance with the law. I would advise that the proposed ordinance is sponsored by Councilor DePiero be referred back to sponsor, as the City Council does not have the authority to pass such an ordinance. And so that's pretty clear and everything, you know, and if it should be referred back, I think maybe it should be, so it doesn't die, at least refer it back and then not have the City Council refer it, well, they can do it at their meeting.
I would motion that we refer this back to sponsor, and the sponsor resubmit it in the form of a resolution so we could forward to the
No,
Traffic Commission.
Refer back to the council to refer back to sponsor, right?
Yes.
Okay. Motion made and second, refer back to the council with the recommendation of referring it back to the sponsor, Councilor McLaughlin. Oh, okay. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? We have adjourned. Thank you very much.